Do you like basketball? Basketball dong. I like, but I'm not good at. Yes, I'm not.
Me too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the State of the League podcast, the only NBA podcast breaking down the benching of.
We're talking about the state of two leagues.
State of two leagues? Whoa! It's me, Jack, aka Jokic Showstar. With me, as always, the world famous Pablo Escobar. And joining us today to break down the Charlotte Hornets is Matthew Sponhour. However, 15 minutes ago, it was announced that the Panthers are benching quarterback Bryce Young for, who's it, Andy Dalton?
Shout out Andy Dalton.
Shout out Andy Dalton.
I don't shout out Andy Dalton.
He's probably got a cool nickname.
You'll come around.
The red rifle, right?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Matt, how you feeling about stuff lately?
I'm not super shocked about Bryce being benched, if I'm being honest. And I kind of went into this season in my heart of heart knowing that Bryce wasn't going to be good, because pretty much every young quarterback who isn't good year one sucks. Not all of them, but most of them.
Ooh, things are looking bad for Caleb Williams.
It's only 2 games in, so
it's only 2 games in, but if you look at franchise quarterbacks and their first 2 starts.
Well, Peyton Manning, he actually led the league.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think you should be out on Bryce, but if he looks this bad at the end of the year, it's bleak. It's not good. But that's another conversation. I mean, I'm not super shocked by it. They're awful. I went into the season thinking maybe they'll win 5 games. Probably maybe going to be 1. Cool. But it's not like I was dude, we're gonna make the playoffs, so it's not the end of the world. I'm bummed for Bryce. It stinks, but I agree with it. I mean, they're not going to win a game if he started every game. They won't beat anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get it because if you start Bryce, you don't win a game. That's a net positive for the organization. You're seeing everything that Bryce can do, and worst case scenario, it's not working out. You're getting the top pick. What's the upside with Andy Dalton? We know he sucks too. We know he's not the future.
Dalton is probably he's a decent veteran. He's more of a low end starter, high end backup type of guy. It's not about what the future of the quarterback position is, but it's the future of everything else on the team. The Panthers invested pretty heavily in their offense around Bryce. In fact, they sold out to invest in their offense. With Bryce out there, it's impossible to tell what exactly you're getting. Xavier Legette, their first round pick receiver, how good is he? We can't really know. Or their offensive line that they invested in. It's interesting to see, or it's important to see, with basically a replacement level quarterback in Dalton, how much better do things get? How good is Canales? And on top of that, I think there's just a respect thing about not going 0-17. I don't want to there's a big difference between 1 win and 0 wins. Don't get me wrong. Usually I'm in the camp of we should tank. I don't want to win 5 games. I want to win 2 because I want to have the first pick. And the Panthers gave up a bunch of draft capital because they had 5 wins instead of the 2 that they should have had. It went back when they drafted Bryce. But this year is not a super strong quarterback year. There's no clear number 1. And I think, the Panthers switching quarterbacks and then being what if we're too good? Probably not something they have to worry about. So I'm happy that they're starting Dalton. And if Bryce can figure some things out and come back later in the year, I'm open to that too. But as it stands right now, you've got to. I mean, they would be the worst team ever as it stands right now. I really, really, truly believe that. It's unbelievable how bad they were.
Damn.
See, in my mind, I embrace that. Last year, I was mad that the Bears did the Montez Sweat trade because I was we could get Marvin and Caleb right now, and you're throwing this away. And listen, the football people, they tell me it's a smart move, so I'll hold off my Ryan Poles criticism. But man, watching Marvin yesterday, that could have been us. Realistically, we could have tanked out the rest of the season. We had to rack up some wins against some meaningless wins.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just surprised me. I don't, obviously I'm not locked into football. This is the first year I've even like kind of paid attention. And so as your friend, Matt, and someone who doesn't want to see you in pain, hope the respect thing pans out. Hope you get the 1 or the 2 wins or whatever. But
They
as
have
somebody,
a lot of winnable games on the schedule. I think they can get one with Dalton in there, but like I'm not that confident in it because their
yeah.
defense is like atrocious too. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe like I think they're still fighting for a win, but this gives them
Yeah.
a better chance.
You had a good video that I liked where you ran through like it was the Giants and a couple other teams, and you're like, for a normal team, those are winnable games, but for us to get one of those would be miraculous. And so I was like, damn, these guys are in the fucking mud right now. So I don't know. To ease your mind off that, I thought we could chop it up about the Charlotte Hornets. And
There we go.
yeah, the brilliant, bright future gleaming out of Charlotte.
It's like if you drafted the quarterback and it worked, but nothing else worked.
And he got hurt all
Right.
the time. Also.
And also like our quarterback is not like, like top 5. It's more like
Yeah.
we'll see.
And he runs red lights all the
And
time. He's like a Georgia quarterback.
Oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, I sent you the list of questions we're asking everybody we have on for a season preview about. We're keeping it standard. We're keeping it professional.
Regulation.
Corporate.
Yeah, regulation. That's what we're working towards. So the first one right off the bat is just how do you feel about where the Charlotte Hornets are at as a franchise right now?
I don't know. I feel okay about them. I don't know if they have somebody who is like definitely going to go be like the best player on a championship team, which would be like what would get me super crazy excited about a rebuild. Like imagine if they had landed Wembanyama and didn't get screwed over by Adam Silver.
Oh my god.
That could be special stuff. But they've certainly been more hopeless than before. I have some belief that if Lamelo Ball can get out there, that he can be really great. Miller looked really good year 1. I think Mark Williams has showed some flashes. Like they have a fair young core. So I feel okay about them. But at the same time, this is exactly how I felt last year, and they just didn't stay healthy. So I'm almost going into the season with no real expectations because I have to see them actually be able to play games. I mean, we see more and more in the NBA. There's just certain dudes who aren't going to be able to put up 70 games. Just can't do it. There's plenty of guys out there who will never hit that number. It's not like a luck or roll of the dice thing. It's just too much on their body. There's some real potential for the Hornets to have a couple of guys like that. I mean, LaMelo is really with the like a consistent lower body injury. That stuff doesn't always get better. It can. It's happened. You think about Steph Curry, but
and he's got family history.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Damn.
Right. So it's nerve-wracking. And then on top of that, it's like, so they're a team where if things break right for them, I think they could win 35 games. I think they could be that level of team. I do think that they're going to be better than they were last year, even with the injuries, just because of how they've built out this roster compared to last season. But at the same time, I don't think the ceiling is crazy high this year. And I'm disappointed about them signing Bridges to a big contract.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's tough. I remember we did the same episode last year, and you were very optimistic about everything. And I just feel bad because I feel like with every single one of these questions, like we will do like a 5-minute preface of like, hey, if they're healthy, all of this stuff is in the picture, and there's all this cool shit going on. And it's not even that there's like no reason to expect them to be healthy. Like I do feel like it's in the cards for LaMelo. I don't know what Mark Williams' career average of games is, but it definitely felt like him.
It's not good.
It's not good. Let me pull this real quick.
I think he was like in the G. I don't know how many games he was banged up for his rookie year, but I don't believe he was healthy the entire time. And then he didn't even hit like
shit. He played
25.
43 games. 43 games his rookie year. Okay.
And I mean, and this is I'll just say it right now. Like, what makes the Hornets different this year than last year is that they aren't like trying to roll out all young guys at every single rotation spot who haven't proven themselves. Like Bryce McGowan's comes to mind. He stunk, right? Like he
Mhm.
isn't going to play good minutes. Or they had Nathan Mensah in there at one point, who I think had like the worst EPM in the entire NBA. And like you watch him and you believe it.
Yeah.
Ish Smith
He's
would go
fighting
out
for
there.
his life while Towns is
Yeah.
dropping 70 on him.
Right,
Oh,
right.
man.
I'm trying to think of what else. Who else was in that? JT Thor. Like JT Thor
Oh,
is.
South Sudan legend. I just found out last night they waived him. I was like, no.
Damn.
I'm sorry to say, but like
He had it coming.
it's like just like simple like connecting stuff on offense where it's like he's just trying to be able to sit in the corner and shoot threes, and the idea of like being able to consistently like drive off of an advantage or move the ball is just out of the mind right now. It's like not even a thought. It's like that's ridiculous to have a bunch of players like that. So now when the Hornets come out here and they have like Grant Williams and Josh Green and who else? Trey Mann and Mikic, right?
Yeah.
That is a monumental difference for them, because those guys flawed. Those guys maybe when they're on a championship roster are like going to have their weaknesses talked about more than their strengths. On a Charlotte Hornets roster, the fact that they can do a little bit of everything are just good NBA veterans who clearly are like league level players makes a difference. And I feel bad for Steve Clifford last year, who was put in an incredibly tough position because once they got injured, I mean, it was just mostly guys who shouldn't be around.
Yeah.
And I thought he got a tough break with all of that. So I think they'll be better just off of how they are building things out. They are trying to be more competitive than they were last year. Although they went into last season like not really trying to lose, they just got banged up and then blew it up as much as they could in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Papa, what do you think?
Yeah, and it doesn't really feel good. Like all the things we talked about, the injury issues. You do have a great young player on a really good contract. I was looking at it last night. But he's good when he plays, but you don't know when he'll play. And so even if he does, then you have long-term support issues. So it's definitely a rough spot. I think they're definitely Cooper Flag sweepstakes team this year. That's the only realistic
That would be awesome.
forward.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Mm-hmm. That's like I don't know. Okay, so like if they I have this further down my bullet list, but it was just kind of this idea that like if they landed Flag next year, or even like a guy, there's like a number of guys in this draft that are supposedly like franchise cornerstone guys.
Mm-hmm.
So if they land somebody like that, is maybe moving on from Lamelo Ball in the picture just because it's really difficult to like have this like core pillar of your team that like I agree with Pablo. I really think he's like a great offensive player. And I think if you got 65 games out of him this year, really the play-in tournament is within reach. I think he's that good. But just having like a core pillar of your team be this guy that's like 22 games one year, maybe 50 the next, having that built in doesn't give you like a super straightforward path to like being more competitive season after season, like increasingly getting further into be it the play-in tournament, winning a play-in game, making the postseason, whatever. Taking it a step at a time is not necessarily easy when the guy who is like doing a ton of this offensive floor raising is a big health risk like that. So would it almost be more beneficial for Charlotte looking forward if like the trade value is good at the end of this year and they get like a high level pick? Do you think that's out of the question that they move off LaMelo? Is that not something you'd be interested in at all? How do you feel?
I think staying healthy is more important than anything else in the NBA, and I think it's more difficult than people think. I'm very look at the injury history pilled. Like there's certain teams that I'm just entirely out on because like, dude, there's no possible way they stay healthy. And I think that's a fair way to look at it after what we've seen over the last 5 years. That being said, it's a little hard to imagine exactly how LaMelo gets traded because the Hornets are a rough team that is very much in a rebuild and still kind of looking for a direction. They think they might have one with the Miller-LaMelo pairing, but we could get 40 games into the year, and if, like, LaMelo has another major injury, it's like, okay, we don't really know what our core to, push forward on is right now. That being said, if LaMelo gets injured, like, who would want him?
Yeah, it's like a catch-22 almost, where
it's like we're the level of team that would be trading for a hypothetical LaMelo Ball if he wasn't on our team. Yeah. And I think if the trade value was right, they might do it if he doesn't stay healthy. But if he doesn't stay healthy, the trade value will be really bad. And I don't think it would make a ton of sense. Maybe if they're so bad, like they get Cooper Flag or they get lucky in that way and they're like, here's our 1-2 and we don't want LaMelo. But I honestly think LaMelo's like a good off the ball player. And at that point, like, what would we be using that salary cap for? We're Charlotte, It's like it's. So I kind of lean towards. I just don't see how the logistics of trading LaMelo lines up, and I feel like I'd rather have him on the roster and have him be the big swing that we're taking than pretty much anything else that we could get for him, which I would figure would be not a ton. Yeah. That being said, like I do have like the whole like ankle brace ridiculousness is like just super, super unserious. And I do think stuff like that matters. Like having the debate, like, dude, you're missing the entire year because your ankles are messed up and
he doesn't want to wear braces, or what's the ridiculousn's you're talking about?
He didn't want to wear them for a long time. He didn't want to wear an ankle brace.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, there's some Charlotte's dude, some Charlotte like Hornets guy who made a video who he's like, LaMelo is now wearing ankle braces, and they're like celebrating. Got like 200,000 views, and people were tagging me and like, bro, let's go. And it's like, this shit is. I like LaMelo. He's one of my favorites. I mean, he's up there with my favorite Hornets of all time, albeit not a competitive list. But he's got to stay healthy. The fact that he's not doing everything in his power at times is definitely a little concerning. The maturity stuff is like hard to pretend that it's not the case when, he's like ran over a little kid's foot and it's like, dude, Jesus Christ. Like it's at a point, if you're Charlotte, like at the minimum, can we be, a bad team that isn't in the news for doing ridiculous shit all of the time? But I think on top of that, like, I want to see LaMelo grow his game a little bit. I really want to see him finish around the rim at a better clip.
Yeah.
Before I'm like super, super pumped about him. But if he can do that, like I think his ceiling is crazy high. But at a point, he's got to get out there and play games and actually show that. So as much as I'm a fan of him, there's definitely a lot of question marks around him going into this year.
Yeah. Pablo, what do you think?
Yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, like with the trade, the idea is which is more likely that or which would be harder to do. Have this guy stay healthy on your team or find another star in the draft like this and he's still, what is LaMelo, 22?
Yeah, I think 22, maybe 23 after this off season. When's his birthday? August. Yeah, so he's fresh 23.
Yeah, so like whenever people are Sixers doomers and they're like, trade Joel Embiid, it's like, you are never getting another Joel Embiid on your roster. There's no point in making a move like that. LaMelo is not that tier of player, but still, it's just like you're going back to square one.
Feels like it if you're Charlotte. I promise you that.
Hey, who better all time, LaMelo or Kemba? Higher peak.
Right now, it's got to be Kemba. Kemba's best season was crazy, but
it was pretty sick. Yeah,
I mean, like, I haven't seen better than that as a Hornets fan in my life, pretty much. I mean, maybe you could argue Al Jefferson, but
and there's a lot of people who will very passionately on TikTok.
So I mean, I'm keeping an open mind going forward on what they should and can do. I said before, I think it's a disappointment if they don't get to the play-in tournament. I'm not saying they necessarily will, but to me, in a super weak East where, I mean, it's hard to find 10 teams that are even attempting to be good right now. You've got the Pistons and the Wizards. You've got Chicago, who, no offense, traded for Josh Giddey.
Oh my God!
And
This motherfucker, he left.
And I shouldn't have brought it up. I didn't realize it was that.
He's so sensitive. Oh my God!
That was perfect timing. I didn't even do that.
Step away for a second and calm down. It's cool. Your team did trade for Josh Giddey, though. I do think the Hornets should be better than your weak ass Bulls.
You literally have a trash team with a guy who beat up his wife, and I can't even look down and be like, well, at least we're not them. No, I have a different trash guy who won't say that he's not a pedophile.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, not two sides of the same coin, but similar coins. They're next to each other.
In some... I can't address that story. Sorry, I can't answer any of that.
How sick were you when that Giddey trade went down, man?
Oh my God, I literally know where I was. I was in a McDonald's drive-thru, and then I had to pull over in the parking lot because I couldn't drive home, and then it rained on me. It was like a rainstorm, and I was fuming. I was so mad. I may have got online and said some things that I may have to delete one day. I may have threatened violence. We'll see.
I swear. I think I have a screenshot. Yeah, where I'm pretty sure I broke the news. Because I text him, I go, Bulls traded for Giddey, LMAO, and he just goes, stop, I will kill myself.
and it got worse over time because it's like, surely there's picks. When
right. That's how it played. I remember that being my first thought. I'm like, everybody's freaking out. Like, let's see the full package first, at least. I mean, Giddey is like the matching salary is annoying, but whatever.
We know
that's what my exact
thought was. That can't be the centerpiece of this, right? Any rational human being wouldn't do that, right?
Oh man! Shout out to
we don't have a rational human being. We have a caveman who needs to be deported.
Whoa! Oh my God! That's not the official stance of the pod. That's just Pablo's personal opinion.
Our GM is eating the neighbor's cats and dogs, the pets. Yep, I've seen it.
Yeah. So I think I'm on board with that. Wizards, Pistons, I think it's like a nightmare season if the Hornets are kind of completing the trio that those three teams have been for a few seasons. We're just like complete bottom of the East. I think the Hornets are in a different spot than the other two right now. The Bulls confuse me because you are right when it comes to like a logical person. They should be horrible and they should be like soundly out of the plan. But like if you told me they see a glimpse 15, 18 games into the season where they're like doing all right, they're just like survive, kind of like mid the way the Bulls are always mid and not bad. If they see that again and they really want to like push for it by making mid-season moves and stuff and try to make the play-in tournament, I do feel like there's a world with like if you look at Zach LaVine versus healthy Lamelo Ball, Brandon Miller, I think LaVine's probably like the second, third most talented player between both rosters. Vucevic is terrible. Giddey's terrible. So I don't know. Now that I'm kind of saying it out loud, the Bulls should be trash, but I just don't have that much faith in the Hornets either. So outside of them, who was in the play-in tournament in the East?
It's going to be like the Raptors and the Hawks are the other two teams, and maybe the Nets somewhere. Well, they just traded McHale, so like I don't know.
Yeah, the Nets
like,
should
they're
be
not
cooked.
They're not even really trying either.
They were being dragged into that play-in, like in the play-in territory last year.
Right. Yeah. So I think the bar is very possibly like 33 wins to make the play-ins. I think the bottom of the East is even worse. The reason why I'm so low on Chicago, I think losing DeMar and losing Caruso takes away a lot of that like mediocrity that they were hitting. I mean, those guys were playing winning basketball. And when you're going into the season saying we are starting, and one of the big moves we made this offseason is for a guy who didn't does not play good currently. Does not play winning basketball right now.
Ignored
That to
on the
me
court.
is right. That to me is a different level than maybe like we think some other teams have some holes. Like I guess I'll just say the Hornets, who definitely do and definitely have some like very easy to imagine disaster scenarios, even beyond just LaMelo going down. But like, yeah, I can agree. Like Levine's there, and maybe he goes off, and you could say the same thing about the Hornets. So who knows? But at least the Hornets are trying to get guys who can play basketball right now in a way that like Chicago just isn't. So I do think Charlotte should be better than them if they're healthy.
If they're healthy. Yeah. And
Charlotte
I guess
is incompetence. Chicago is malpractice, intentional malpractice.
it also helps that the Bulls, two of like their good, once you like look at the dust has settled from all the DeMar Caruso moves, two of their good players, like objectively good basketball players on the roster, Io DeSumo and Kobe White, will have minutes and shots and touches taken away from them by the bad basketball player in Giddey that they just moved for. And so it's like, okay, well, even if you want to like go talented player for talented player and compare these rosters, like Chicago is actively fucking themselves over by putting the ball into Giddey's hands as opposed to these other guys, or even just having him on the floor. Like if Io DeSumo never took a shot and is just like playing defense compared to what Giddey is bringing, I feel like you'll probably have some games where he is a more valuable player.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Chicago. I'm not really that confident in the Hornets being over anybody, so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like stand on business if they suck. But I don't know. I think Charlotte should be. They should, if healthy, they should win 33 games. They should be in that play-in mix in the East. And if they're not, that is a disappointment, even if it's predictable that the Hornets will disappoint.
Yeah. It's got to break at some point. They have to surprise and be nice eventually.
Not really. Nope. They don't have to do that. Like, I promise you, man. That's the thing about the sports stuff, is that like it doesn't ever have to break your way, but that makes you appreciate when it does more. Like the Hornets could be ass for the next 10 years. Like that easily has happened to teams and could very likely happen to teams. Now I think they've been making good moves mostly over the last like maybe 1 year, like 365 days. I think I agree with more that they've done than disagree, but at the end of the day, they got to just hit really, really big on some guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it doesn't always have to break your way. What are we at? Number 2? Damn. All right, okay. So, how did you feel about the offseason moves that the Hornets made this offseason? They had a few notable things. They give Miles Bridges the contract. They pick up Josh Green in the Klay Thompson deal. And then they draft Salon, this big, toolsy French athlete guy, who, I mean, whenever you draft a project player, it's not like there's a ton to touch on in like the season preview or anything. He's a really good athlete that's really raw at all his basketball shit. So,
and he could be honest, maybe.
He could be honest.
Yeah, he's Giannis.
Who is Giannis? Like if Giannis didn't work out, like what's the bad timeline Giannis? Is that like
Bruno Caboclo?
I was gonna say JT Thor actually is the bad timeline.
National Hero JT Thor. No.
Thon Maker, anyone? That could be
go.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, the Bridges contract, the Josh Green pickup. Anything else you want to talk? How you feeling about all that?
Josh Green contract, good, or getting him good. Anybody who can just hold their own on both ends of the court and fill out a role that we didn't have last year, I'm down for. And I thought they got him for particularly cheap. He's got 2 more years left on his deal. At like
I can pull it up. Keep talking.
Million. That's my guess. I thought that was perfectly fine. I understand why the Mavericks want to move on from him, but just point blank period, like Green is young and the Mavericks are in a different area, like in a different stratosphere than
they're playing
Charlotte
a different sport than the Hornets are.
Right, exactly. They absolutely are. So I like with the last time they sent over somebody who they're like they suck. it was Grant Williams, and Hornets fans love Grant Williams. And I saw a tweet one time, like 4 months ago, where Hornets fans, somebody asked, like, would you trade Grant Williams for a first right now? And everyone was like, no. Why would we?
Really?
Wow,
Yes,
this is interesting. This is an angle. The last Pablo and I mean, the last he was in the Sphere was like he's pissing everybody off in Dallas so much that they're like paying people to get rid of him. So I didn't realize people liked him.
Being compared versus like, every other like 3-and-D role player, like all the top guys that every contender has versus like being compared to Bryce McGowan's.
Yeah,
everything is expectation based in terms of the NBA. That's why the teams that have the most fun are like trash teams that win 40 games or whatever. Because
first year kings, there we go.
Right. The Pistons like 2 years ago or something, or maybe not even the Pistons. They've been so weak, but you know what I mean. The Bridges contract, like I said, you can turn the page on the type of team that you are right now and sort of the narrative around the team, and they chose not to for a guy who really like has not been playing that good recently. His shot is really iffy, and he's like does not look quite the same as he did 2 to 3 years ago as an athlete, honestly. And his defense is super spotty. Like he doesn't quite fall into the like no shooting, no defense, like I'm a doomer about category, but he's not like a lock to be a good shot any given year. And at his size, that's definitely concerning. On top of that, I mean, he had like a tweet or whatever where it's like, like I didn't do anything wrong. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
We can bring it up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they said they pulled up. They said something about his domestic abuse, and they showed a picture of the victim. They're like, "What?" And he said, "I didn't do that," which he pled guilty for. We all know he did it. And they showed a picture, and they're like, "What's this?" And he said, "Bad lip filler and acne or something."
Oh
right.
God.
Like, and the fact that he immediately starts to do that, like once he gets the contract, because if I remember correctly, this is like 2 weeks after. Is like you guys got that, like obviously like this is how it was going to go down, like obviously there was potential for that, and I mean it could happen again. It totally could. It's a shame that they felt like they needed to sell out to do that, and I don't really think the contract is that great of a steal. Of course, unfortunately, you can't actually he's entered the Josh Giddey sort of range where like you can't say that was like maybe not the greatest contract, or say that Bridges isn't playing that good without people being like, you're just saying that because of his off the court stuff. It's the same thing with Giddey, where it's like everybody turned on him around that time, but like honestly, they were just right when they turned on him. Like he just went from like a young prospect where it's like him like sucking ass is okay, to all of a sudden like it's not cool anymore, and that really, like, maybe it happened a year early to him than it would have normally, but it's true.
I mean, yeah.
And then as far as the is it salon or saloon?
Salon.
I
French.
see, that's the thing. I thought it was salon, but then I remember tweeting about salunatics.
Oh, well,
didn't know if I was stretching it.
Sam Facini says saloon, but I don't know if he's right. So I think the French they say is salon. So
okay.
I'll salon.
I'll work on that then. I mean, he's a project, so obviously it's a boom or bust thing. I thought probably not the greatest value at 6.
Oh, who did you want?
I didn't like have somebody super specific that I was like keyed in on. His name is slipping me. UConn. I don't know why. Donovan
Clingan.
I thought that could have been really good value for Charlotte.
Where did he end up going?
One pick after to the Blazers.
I didn't realize that was after.
Bazulis would have been cool. There was a few guys. I'm not like gonna be a jerk about it. I try not to be the sulking Hornet. It's easy to do that. And again, like it's boom or bust, so it's either really going to work out or it's not. And if we picked them at 12, that would still be the case, or if whatever. But I wonder if he has the upside as like a self-creator for this to really make sense as a swing this big. You know what I mean? I do know that they tried to trade up to to 3 to get Shepard. And they I think what the Rockets asked for is Mark Williams, and they said no.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah, I believe. I could be making this all up, but I'm pretty sure I'm not actually.
Well, we don't fact check on here, so you're in luck. I mean, we're just gonna believe you 100%.
LeBron wanted to
We're
come
tweeting out the
here.
graphic.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know.
So
sorry, you go.
So I thought their offseason, I guess, was a little mid. But at the same time, I like the direction that they picked with picking up some draft picks. I thought that they did a good overall job on that. And I like that they've spec'd themselves a little bit more into being competitive now and putting decent pieces out there so they can be a real team. And with the NBA draft, I mean, what do I know? So we'll see how it goes. If he develops, he could be really sick.
I mean, yeah, that's what everyone wants. What is he?
And he brings his smile, remember?
Does he have a good smile? Let me
yeah, he was having. Oh my God, I forgot about his. I've been so football focused because I mean the NBA just has like the deadest dead period ever. What was he saying?
They said, "What will you bring to this team next season?" He said, "My smile."
No, somebody asked him like, "What's your biggest weakness?" And he said, "You'll see."
That's ominous.
So I'm really rooting for him. He's hilarious.
Yeah. That rocks. I think with the Miles, okay. I don't even know. So Josh Green, I think slots very nicely into the kind of player you've described, where he'll probably start for them. Because it's like ideal lineup that's LaMelo, Josh Green, Miller, Williams, and then you have two. Is it a full Williams front court?
It's gonna be. I think it's probably gonna be Bridges starting.
Oh shit! I block him out of my mind. That's why I'm happy he's on the Hornets still, is because we don't have to talk about him that much.
Is Mark confirmed healthy? Is he going to start the season? Do we know?
Oh, I haven't even been looking into that. Maybe I should have looked at. I think he should. If he's not, I know his back was like not great, and this is probably. I don't want to say my biggest concern because my biggest concern is LaMelo staying healthy. My number 2 concern is that if Mark Williams goes down, their defense is going to be atrocious.
Yeah,
it's going to be all. I mean, it's probably not going to be very good regardless. And honestly, Mark didn't look that great last year compared to his rookie season, but it was a small sample size, and he was injured, and it's not his fault.
And you can't teach standing reach.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen to this. I'm saying the Hornets had a chance to trade up to get Reed Shepard, which I think would have been good. I would have been really excited about that. And they chose not to because they didn't want to give up Mark Williams. That must be a positive sign of his health, right? Or they thought he was not going to pass the physical, one of the two.
Damn. Yeah. There's 2 wolves in front of you. One of them's really sad and depressed, and then one of them's like, "Hey, he's gonna play 60 games next year, guys. It'll be great." Yeah. Not giving up Williams for Shepard, and then also not taking Klingon. They probably feel good. Yeah, they probably are in an okay spot. Last thing that I see written about him, he had a quote where he said, "I'm feeling good. He's eager to silence critics and doubters," which
I'm silencing the critters.
I'm stepping on
all the mice outside.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Josh Green, he does fit the bill nicely in terms of like just not complete. Like an NBA player is on the floor even if LaMelo plays 18 games again, and that wasn't the case for a lot of it. I think with the Miles Bridges contract, it's tough because I don't know. As someone who doesn't like have a personal stake in the success of the team, I don't really care if they do well. I would almost prefer completely cutting ties, not only with like the previous kind of era of Hornets basketball, turning a page, new chapter, all that shit, but also like if the entire locker room is just kind of like this struggle for maturity, if we want to call it, like all of the off-court problems that they've had that have plagued them for years. if that's like super persistent, and this guy who is the longest tenured young guy on your team that you just give this contract to, all of this stuff, if he's one of the most, like, not even looking at like the whole abuse thing and all of that and how that's like the thing that an evil person would do, if he is like this super immature guy who provides like no structure or leadership for the rest of the roster, and the problems continue to plague everybody and hold the team as a whole back, then having him on the team, it's really not worth like an okay 18 points per game to me. I would like, it's fine if you lose that guy for nothing, because you're going to be bad regardless moving forward for the next few years. So I don't know, Pablo, how do you feel about their offseason?
Well, first of all, we forgot to talk about some of the they have new guys off the court too. They have a new head coach, and you have a new
That's
right.
That's 100% true. I'm sorry, the coach's name is totally slipping me right now as well. It's Charles Lee, right? What I've seen from him so far, I am a fan of like his demeanor and his energy and the way that he talks about basketball. Outside
is he a crazy person too? I know he's a Missoula assistant, but is he Missoula brain?
I don't know if he's crazy. I guess I haven't watched enough to see if he's nuts. I mean, he's got to be if he wants to coach the Hornets.
Nice.
Boom. I think he seems like a really like solid guy as far as I can tell through like the 25 minutes of like interviews and press conferences and him talking, and everywhere he's been, people speak really highly of him.
Champion as a member of the
champion.
Bucks.
Hey, but at the same time, it's tough to tell like exactly what like he's gonna bring to the table in terms of things schematic, like success the other teams had were because of him versus everything else. So I'm willing to wait to see how it plays out before I form a real opinion, but I'm positive.
Yeah.
It froze there for a second.
Dude, I thought we lost you completely, but then it the whole quote just came back like in like
and it sped up.
Yeah.
That's what it does on Riverside, which we record on sometimes too, and it kills me.
Oh, beautiful. God, our jobs are so hard, everybody. I mean, we work harder than anyone, and so next time you're putting in hours at the factory, just think about what if your podcasting software had a little glitch in it? That would be really hard.
I just remembered something. So the Hornets have new ownership, right? When did they sell the team? Was it last year?
Yeah.
They have some kind of deal where the person in charge of the team switches every 5 years. Do you know about this? Like they have multiple guys who want to be president, and they're just going to have different tenures.
What is it? Plotkin and Schnall?
It might be
going back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know what you would Google search. I was reading about this, and I was like, I need to read more about this later. But it's a completely bizarre arrangement. So, but while you guys look into
I absolutely. I thought that they were just like kind of just like co-running the team. They will rotate the team's governorship every 5 years, beginning with Schnall.
Oh. Yeah. So how great in 5 years if you're trash, that's Schnall.
Well, that wasn't Plotkin. He couldn't do anything.
Just wait till we get Plot Armor Plotkin in here. Things are gonna completely shift.
Oh, it's a new level of cope down in Charlotte. That's fun. I like that. I also think it'd be fun if the new head coach, Missoula disciple, he's a fucking psychopath. We get to see what it would look like if Missoula wasn't dropped into like an automatic 50-win roster where like his psychopathy is like constructive and it's being put towards like winning games and like having a killer mentality in the playoffs. It's just Missoula losing his mind in North Carolina, winning like 21 games instead.
That's a phenomenon we saw in football for many years. with Bill Belichick assistants, because they would go in and work under Bill Belichick, and they'd see all the things he does. Where he's like, I don't talk to people. I'm the Patriot way. And then they would leave the Patriots, and they'd be like, well, I'll just do that at my new team. I'm just going to be like Belichick. But they can't pull it off because they don't have the Riz to do so.
No,
like
they think
Eric
like the Patriot
and those guys, they're just complete frauds, and everyone hates them.
I've always thought that like a few of those guys, I think their lesson they took away was like the Patriot way is just being an asshole. So like I'm gonna go to another team and just be an asshole, and that's gonna work. It's like it's a little bit more than that.
So Charles Lee walks into practice and turns on Beethoven. He's like, practice now, and he's looking around to see if everyone's reacting right.
And maybe that's what the boys need, man.
Has LaMelo heard Beethoven in his life? Do we think even once?
Oh yeah, come on. He's heard Beethoven. I'd say he even likes Beethoven.
Ooh, okay.
He is a boy genius. Maybe he relates.
He's well traveled. He played. Where did he play after the whole UCLA thing went down?
Lithuania.
There we go. I knew it was like Eastern Europe or something.
Home of a war criminal, the worst man on earth, Arturas Karnisovas. Speaking of a different worst man on earth, Miles Bridges. It's the dynamic with him is so annoying now, because there was a point where he was a pretty decent player, and so all the guys online who love to be that kind of guy, they're like, well, yeah, basketball's separate, guys. So you kind of need to be quiet about that. He does a lot of really good dunks. But now we're at the point where he's just an inefficient volume scorer. He shot like 34% from three this past year or something. He was one of the worst corner three-point shooters, I think, in the NBA. I saw it on a graphic. Like you said, He doesn't really defend. He's undersized. Who is he guarding? The athleticism might be fading a little bit. There's signs at 25. So, like, this is not a no-brainer contract. Like, this is not a guy I would be excited to have on my team at this contract. But still, there's people who, like, fundamentally won't get that. They'll be like, they're like the objectivity truth warriors. They're like, I don't like domestic abuse either, but you know what's worse than domestic abuse? Lying about how good this basketball player is. And I saw his hoop mixtape, and he's dunking all the time. LaMelo throws him lobs. That's good stuff. You need to be less emotional and more logical. But it's like, man, you are a YouTube 2006 basketball fan. You hardly have object permanence. This guy is just mid now. It's so frustrating.
I agree pretty strongly. And it's frustrating when it's your fan base, or a lot of your fan base. It's like not all of them, certainly not all of them. I'd say more probably of the Hornets content creators out there are against it than for it. I will say this, kind of unrelated, dude, because I feel bad for like the Hornets content creators. Like if you're just a straight Hornets guy,
who
like,
is that? I don't know if I've ever. Who's the biggest one? Are you? You're probably the biggest one, right?
But I'm not like a straight up like Hornets content creator. I'm thinking of guys like Walker Mel and James. His last name slipping me. It starts with the P. From Britain. He's good. I've been on his podcast
British?
a few times.
There's a British Hornets.
Hey, what the hell is funny about that, man?
Oh my god! Shout out to James.
Hold on, let me look up his name. I don't want to disrespect my guy.
My god, I don't want to disrespect him either. The fact that British NBA fans, knock yourselves out. I'm sure we got a couple in the Patreon. It's fun.
Plowright, James Plowright. Shout out to GOAT.
James Plowright.
It's just the idea that like when I think about people overseas kind of developing a connection to an NBA team, I won't say that like you just get to pick whatever, because most of the time what happens is like you're watching basketball. And if I had to guess, he probably thought Kemba was really cool for like Kemba's best season or something.
Nah, he's been a fan longer than that.
Holy shit! He thought Gerald Wallace was sick as hell or something.
What's his origin? He's not.
I honestly have not asked him. I haven't even questioned why he's a Hornets fan.
Yeah,
so
it's just
I don't
funny.
know, but he's certainly been. I think he's been a long time fan. So
damn. So he's
just
in
the
the
GOAT.
trenches.
I just think it's. It's that simple, man. I bring this up because there was this person's name I don't remember at all. I just saw the tweet. There's a Panthers like creator who like did a podcast, and like after yesterday's game, he's just like, I'm done. I'm not making anything else. Like it's this. And I don't blame anybody. I mean, some teams are just not good for talking about and discussing as much like year round. Like they just don't do that much. And the Panthers are one of them. And I think the Hornets are a little bit more interesting than the Panthers right now. But
should the Panthers bring back Cam?
Oh,
we did that the one time, and it was cool. I wish his shoulder had never gotten shot, but I'm gonna say the streams have been going well. I want to see Cam stream more. Let's focus on that.
Nice. Oh my God.
Being a British Hornets fan is crazy though, because like the time difference, like let's say you're staying up till like 4 a.m. to watch the Charlotte Hornets, and then they lose and you're upset. You're like, this is rubbish. And then you wake up the next morning and it's just cold and dark and rainy and you're in England. It just seems like a miserable life.
Some people like that, you know?
I don't know if being a Bulls fan would be all that much better, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh,
compare.
City. Well, it depends if he's in London or not. If he's in London, he's cooling. But if he's in Hillsborough or if he's in Birmingham. Like what that's like me rooting for becoming like a Stoke City content creator or something. The British people would be like, what are you doing?
Call him little Stoke
I think there's a lot of respect in not just picking like the best team.
It's true.
Oh yeah, I like this guy way more than if you're like, I know this British Lakers content creator. Like, fuck that guy.
Like, brother.
Yeah.
Like Mbappe. I love LeBron. Lakers. You know that video?
Mm-mm.
They ask. It sounds like he's saying "le curse," like the curse. Le curse. It's great.
That's what I thought you were saying too.
I love LeBron James.
All right, let's keep it pushing. Let me get my third question out here. What is it? The expectations. I don't know. We've kind of already touched on a little bit. A disappointing season versus a surprisingly nice season. What would each of those look like for the Hornets?
Disappointing season mostly is just Mark Williams, Brandon Miller, Lamelo Ball missing major time, and or like Lamelo not developing in any way from where he's been in previous years, or Williams kind of not being a force around the rim, or maybe Miller not taking a step in his efficiency and his ability to create space. Which I'm not saying that any of those things like will have, but like all of those things are potentially possible and would be disappointing. A nice surprise would be anything over probably, honestly, if they stay healthy, it kind of does feel like it would be like the nice, like, oh, okay, outcome. But I feel like if they do, then the expectation is that they are like a 35, 33, 37 win team and that they make the play-in. And if they don't, it's a little bit of a disappointment. I have a hard time seeing the young guys developing properly and staying healthy and not being good enough to be the 10 seed in this East. So if they're not the 10 seed in the East, which again, you could say like, well, there's no way you're too high on them. I'm not even saying that they will do this. I'm just saying it'd be a disappointment. And the Hornets often are disappointed if they missed those bars, but that doesn't change where the bar is for them.
That's a really healthy mindset. I'll say that much. Yeah, I don't know. It's I agree with you. Like if they're healthy, if they're good to go, I think we haven't even really talked about Brandon Miller that much, which is like kind of insane considering I like LaMelo and I feel like LaMelo's shown us not the ceiling of what he could be or anything, but like that flash when he was an all-star and everything. That was a great year. Like we have seen what he looks like and everything. Brandon Miller is fucking so good. Like he for like the consolation prize to Wemby being Brandon Miller, I don't think that's something you need to like. It sucks that it's not Wemby, obviously, but considering how vitriolic almost the reaction was when people were like, they're not taking Scoot. Oh my God, Hornets aren't taking Scoot, and they go Brandon Miller. And then Miller,
I was
too. I only like listened to what draft people say and just kind of like the general vibe of how everyone is reacting to the picks. So it's not like I was on Twitter being like, Miller's going to be better year one or anything. I was definitely guilty of that. But the fact that's a non-Hornets thing to have happen to me, to like make the Zag pick that a lot of people aren't expecting and have it be the correct, smart, like intelligent front office thing to do. And so I think Brandon Miller, that's sick as fuck that you guys got him, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. It's super exciting, and it makes them a lot more interesting as a team. I still think they're probably one more big hit away before it's like, okay, but who knows what Miller can become. I thought year one was really good, and I thought he showed a lot of growth. I think he fits well next to Lamelo. Like, I have a lot of hope for how that works going forward. I want to see how he continues to progress. He did come in a little bit older as, a second overall pick compared to maybe a Scoot. And I don't really want to run victory laps on Scoot because
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you're up or are you like waiting, like looking over your shoulder, like, oh, is this going to come back to bite me still?
It's tough, dude, because like I was against it. So Hornets fans will come and they'll be like, oh, well, are you like happy about it now? I'm like, okay, well, Miller is better than I thought he would be.
And he's definitely better now than Scoot.
And he's definitely better right now. And Scoot looking bad year one, like, is not the end of the world, but it's a negative. Like, it's not a great thing. But at the same time, like, I think if we're victory lapping as Hornets fans right now, like, we got to know, like, this still could break against us. There's still reasons to be high on Scoot. Like, he insane passer and just a next level athlete and all that stuff. And I thought he got better as the year went on. And honestly, his shot does not look that far away. But that's another conversation. But yeah, I'm excited with some of the young players that the Hornets have.
Yeah, with Scoot, I don't know. I was listening to a podcast the other day where it was just like this insane kind of like, it made me question what I think about the Blazers and everything, because it was two guys it was like the Athletic NBA show or something, and they were like, God, I just don't know if Scoot's going to get the touches between like Jeremy Grant and everybody. And I'm like, like the Blazers are cooked next year. I know everybody like looks at their roster and it's like, well, that's a talented player. That's a talented player. These guys might have something.
Dude, this.
Yeah, like I liked it. We like Denny Avdia. We think he's talented. Like there's good guys on the roster. Somebody has got to lose basketball games in a Western Conference that's going to feature like 6 teams that could win 60 games. I'm not saying they're gonna, but they have the opportunity to. And so like I'm listening to that podcast and they're like, ugh, I just don't know if there's room for Scoot here. And it's like, no, dude. I think year 2, especially with how much more difficult it is for like a guard running an offense to break into the league than it is for like a 6'9" 3-point shooting small forward to like finish plays people are setting up and stuff. Yeah, I'm not like sold on the Scoot Brandon Miller dynamic being wrapped up or anything, but I still think Miller is in a really good spot. And I definitely think like if you get him healthy, which like I don't think that's a big concern right now, but him next to 65 games of LaMelo, that would be really cool. Like I think if you get that next season, that is really the foundation of where the expectation for like 35 wins comes from. It feels reasonable just because that pairing would be so good.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of those guys were really well off the ball. I know LaMelo is the guy who gets talked about like he can't for whatever reason, even though he's very good at spot-up shooting. But just seeing somebody who is that lethal and has an ability to attack mismatches and whatnot like Miller does next to LaMelo is super exciting. But I really want to see Miller. I'm more excited for him as what he can do himself. How he can go toe-to-toes with guys. I mean, his handle is fantastic and getting better, and he's long, and his shot, I think, has a potential to be, like, really lethal. That's what I want to see out of him. So I'm pumped about watching sort of their big three work together. And then Trey Mann is coming off the bench, and he's having fun. He's got a new level of confidence. He's growing and learning. He's going to put up 6 man of the year numbers, dude. It's crazy.
Hey, all
Lock it
right.
in.
Lock it
You know,
in,
I
baby.
love
This
I
is
love
yeah.
I love Trey, man, if he could start hitting the shots consistently. That's a ball don't
He's
stop type guy though.
he's extension eligible this offseason, I'm pretty sure. So that would be cool. That's another guy where I'm like, I don't know, to a lesser extent than someone like Josh Green. I think Trey Mann has a little bit further to go to prove that he's like, yes, NBA player is on the floor when LaMelo is hurt and all that. But the end of the year run with Charlotte last year, him like he looked really good. He looked cool, and he showed a lot of that with Oklahoma City as well. They just didn't have room for him to touch the ball that much. So I'm looking forward to that. I guess yeah, that's the next question anyways, is like which players are you looking forward to see progress this season? Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to besides Miller and Trey Mann?
In terms of progression, honestly, Trey Mann is like my guy if we're talking about a sleeper, because mostly it's like I want to see Brandon Miller be good.
Dribble the ball. Yeah.
I mean, I like I said before, LaMelo and interior finishing is probably, if I could pick one skill of one player to develop seriously, it would be that. And it's not even like if I was like playing 2K and I had like the camp thing that they do at the end of the year in my league, that's what I would be picking. But outside of that, dude, like Trey Mann, I really think like he can create and he can move the ball well too. Like he's not just like a tunnel vision guy, but sometimes I feel like he doesn't have the confidence that he needs to. And he's got to learn, like, dude, you're not on OKC anymore. It's Charlotte. Like, let that thing fly. It doesn't really matter.
Empty the clip, bro. It's fun.
Right.
Vasily Micic is taking a catch and shoot if you don't shoot this.
March Meechness.
Oh my God! Which I'm too hard on him. He was bad when Serbia needed him to be good in the Olympics, and so since then, I'm like, oh, this fucking guy.
Thank God.
I guess, you know.
No, dude, I feel strongly. Thank God Jokic did not win that game, bro. We would have never heard the end of like that. The difficulty of beating Team USA is overstated.
Mm-hmm. Well,
like,
especially in that situation where you just have like a nuclear. Everyone is hitting 5 threes in a game.
Yeah,
it's difficult. Don't get me wrong. Like it's incredibly hard. Like they're a super stacked team, but like multiple teams like came like really close to doing it. It's still basketball. It's still like you can get hot and get them one game. But the way that things were shaping up was like, oh, if Jokic wins, like this is the greatest achievement in all of basketball. And it's like, dude, I think that like winning a title with the Nuggets was harder because you got to go toe to toe against some of the best teams, and you got to like actually like beat them in a 7-game series. You can't get hot one time.
Yeah. Nothing that happens in one game is ever going to be the most difficult thing, like basketball achievement ever, really.
Maybe scoring 101 points, maybe. That could be crazy. But I also I had accounts from Serbia in my like comments when I was like tweeting this about the game, like champions of what, when they were up 17. So
oh my God,
it meant something to me, man.
We had for the Mavs episode, we had slightly biased, a different like Mavs content creator on, and he was talking about, he's like pretty vocally critical of Luka when shit goes bad. Like he's not just like ride or die for him, and he's gotten a bunch of like Eastern European guys being like, "What's your problem, pal?" All that shit.
I will kill you.
And on that video, we got a comment. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just remember the final phrase of the comment. In the comment, they spelled mystery Mistery. They misspelled it, and then the final sentence was, "Funny how that work."
So this guy say Shea good, then you say Luka good. Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, so we're dipping our toes into that bag, but I'm not full on Eastern European hate in my DMs yet.
So, were you cheering for Serbia over USA?
The way I looked at it, I can't lose. Like I wanted Team USA to win, but when they were down 17, I was like, this is the greatest basketball achievement I've ever seen. Oh my God, this is literally the most impressive thing that's ever happened on a basketball court.
And for Team USA to do it and then get France on their court 2 times for both golds. I kicked ass, man. That was an awesome day on
Oh
Twitter.
my
And then everybody going from like, it's common sense what a world championship is to, well, this is the Olympics. They're the Olympic champion. They're not the world champ. That's
Oh
different.
God.
It's like, we got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Drop the gimmick, people. Oh my god. I'm sick of it. Yeah. And then for Noah Lyles to come out, which like we've talked probably way more sentences than Noah Lyles deserves to have on an NBA podcast. Like we've spent 30 minutes breaking down what it means and everything. But for him to come out like 3 weeks after the Olympics at tennis and be like, "Oh, well, they play like the most talented opponents in the world and everything. They're the world champions if they beat those guys." And it's like, okay, well, I mean, of the 500 most talented basketball players, how many of them are playing in the fucking NBL and stuff? It's really not that.
Poku did go to Europe now.
Yeah, I mean, he's there now, and that's rest in peace to Pokuševski.
Legend.
Every time he would pop up on my TV while I was watching basketball, my girlfriend would just go, "Oh, whoa, he looks crazy." So shout out to him, and shout out to Noah Lyles. Fuck it, I'll give him a little clout. Riding out these next 3.5 years until the next Olympics on just the world champion stuff, I think it'll be pretty tough for him.
Shout out to Jokic for almost having the greatest accomplishment of all time. No, I was rooting for Serbia purely for propaganda reasons, because with that kind of like accomplishment, it's kind of like most of the NBA, probably like 90% of the fans, like they're kind of behind in some terms. Like I feel like that would be a good way to catch them up on how good Jokic is, because there's a lot of people who judge the NBA purely off the trophy case, like what awards you have, whatever. And there's a lot of people who have refused to accept that Jokic is one of the easy 10 best offensive players in NBA history, one of the greatest players ever. There's a lot of people who are really reluctant to accept that. And I feel like it would just make that more undeniable to the casual type fans. And so then they'll start realizing what I've already realized. They'll be like, wait a second, this guy's really good.
And maybe there's some truth to that, but it's easily trumped by would have been bad for Braun.
Oh, yeah, that's we're at.
It would have been. It would have been. It honestly would have been a disaster if he had not pulled it through, dude. I was so pissed.
Oh my god. Yeah. And as someone who, as a Jokic fan, it pisses it, like that's probably the worst part of it, is that like there's been like a resurgence of like this corner of the internet. It's like Jokic blew 2 big leads in back-to-back elimination games. Why isn't this guy getting criticism? And it's like, yeah, if that happened against like the Anthony Edwards 6 for 24 game twice, like if he couldn't get it done in that situation 2 times, sure, let's talk some criticism. The second time being like literally the most perfect quarter of basketball I've ever seen a team play, between like Kevin Durant finally started hitting pull-up jumpers. Embiid cooks Jokic in isolation pretty routinely, but especially when Jokic has like 4 fouls, Embiid's going off. Steph, the kind of shit that he was hitting was just remarkable. And then LeBron as well. Like it's 3 like top 15 players ever. And then Embiid, tack him on the back. He's like a top 25, top 30 player, at least in terms of like peak and everything to me. And so, yeah, for people to be like, it's just funny how Jokic isn't getting criticized. The PR is so good. I'm like, I just feel like it was more of a testament to what the United States was doing than it was to like Jokic choking or anything. But I don't know. Well, it's the Olympics. It's wrapped up at this point.
No, the real PR winner is Anthony Edwards, who is like reminds me all the time of the Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with it. he'll have some like badass quote and then like not back it up at all. And then everyone
He'll
will
yell
like,
at someone in the game. That's cool.
Yeah, but that'll be sick. Like all that like Kirk. Remember like when he was like, you got to start. Well, there isn't like a Dwayne Wade or a Kobe Bryant or whatever. he was talking that shit, and people are getting so psyched about it. And like, dude, he got yanked in the 2 big ones for playing like ass. And like, dude, like game 7 against the Nuggets, like, dude, he said like, I'm going like beast mode or whatever the fuck, and then like got like 5 for 17 after that, dude. And it's like he just keeps getting away with it, man.
And the Nuggets one is tough because it's the Wolves fans will spend 87, whatever games it took, however many games it took to get to that point. They'll spend the whole time being like, nobody respects Karl Anthony Towns. It's so sad how he puts in the dirty work for our team, and just like it just constantly flies under the radar because of like this or that or whatever. And then in that game 7, by far, like if you want to talk, I'm sure we will get people who feel this way. Maybe they'll comment being like, oh, Anthony Edwards was the emotional engine of the team. He lit the spark.
This best guy on team from Slovenia.
But like Karl Anthony Towns in that game 7 had like probably 5 of the 8 biggest plays of the second half in terms of like shifting momentum. He was everywhere, and the Nuggets were either too tired to do anything about it or had no answer for him depending on the play. And so, yeah, that's just another part of that it's never made sense.
No, I agree. I you know, somebody will go off and it's like they don't get respected, but then it'll be like, Anthony Edwards did say that we have a Jaden McDaniels. Dude, that is so hype of Anthony Edwards to bring that up, man.
That.
Good job, dude. Like, see how he wouldn't had a big game? How did Ant know?
How did he know? Damn, he's a prophet.
Matt, what would have been the LeBron spin? I'm sure you had him cooking like at your darkest moments during the Serbia game. What would have been the PR spin? One that I could think of is you can literally see the gray hair in his beard. This is not canon. This is an old man. This is like he's ancient. Of course they didn't win. What would have been the spins?
I mean, it would have just had to be that he's like old. And like it's one game and like fuck, dude. But like honestly, it would have sucked so bad.
Yeah. But instead, he's literally the GOAT, baby. Oh my god.
Look, the only reason why I bring it up is because that's like the only sports win that I've had in like a minute now, big time, dude. When it's Panthers and Hornets, I'm taking if one of my teams, I don't care if it's Team USA and the Olympics and they're stacked, then it's not fair. Like I'm talking about it.
It's not fair for me on the other end either, is it?
Right.
I was watching Bryce McGowan's in March. Leave me
right.
alone.
Like I've got like 82 games coming up here soon of Charlotte basketball, which maybe won't be that bad, but I'm enjoying my 10 and talking about my 10 that I get where LeBron and Curry and Kevin Durant are all on the team that I'm rooting for. Yeah.
The way you said, which, maybe won't be that bad. It's like, I don't know. It's like hearing somebody talk about like driving somewhere in LA or something, where it's like, maybe we'll get there in like 40 minutes or something. And it's like, okay, maybe that will happen. Yeah.
Right. Like you got to be a balance of being a doomer, because it's really easy. Although honestly, I've been kind of doing it with the Panthers here early in the season, but like they've left me like no choice.
Yeah.
It's just not to be the dude who's like, yep, Hornets, they suck. Like, you can hear that all the time from anybody. I don't think it's like totally hopeless. So we could break out the team even if they have been awful for like ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait for that Plodkin administration, man.
I know. I'm so they should let the fans vote.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so fun.
This honestly, the video idea, Pablo, it sounds like right up your alley. Should the Hornets vote on?
Should they become the first communist franchise?
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. I asked who we're looking to see Trey Mann progress. I did write down a Brandon Miller would you rather. I have 5 players here. Do you want to run through them real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first off, I tried to rank them so like as we go further down, they turn into better players. The first player right off the bat is Jonathan Kuminga.
I'd rather have Miller.
Okay.
I think Miller is just more complete as a scorer right now, and has looked bad. I think he's far along defensively. Like I'm taking Miller there.
Yeah. Pablo, you taking Miller?
Yeah, probably. It's funny because it's like Brandon Miller. They if you could fuse those guys, that would be sick. Because Kuminga can attack the basket, but that's kind of his only like bankable skill at this point. And while Miller is great shooter, pretty good defender, passer, dribbler, but it's those burst concerns. It's like the one big hole.
Oh my God. And that reminds me, in that athletic pod I was listening to about the Blazers and everything, they did Kuminga versus Josh Giddey, and they were like, well, they each have like one good skill. Kuminga can really only score, and Giddey can really only pass. And then the guy who's like trying to beef Giddey up chimed in, and he's like, he's a great rebounder for his position too. And that just popped into my brain.
The four skills of basketball. There's only four: score, pass, defend, and rebound.
Right. And Giddey's already got two. If he finds a third, watch out.
Yeah.
Then that's Westbrook.
Yep.
All right. Gigi Jackson is the second player here.
I'm taking Miller over Gigi Jackson.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just checking it. I'm just checking.
Look, South Carolina legend, Columbia legend.
Ooh,
Well,
shout out to Gigi Jackson.
Well, his time didn't go very well there.
No, but Columbia legend. He's from Columbia. He's from where I'm from. I don't care. And I have like a 30-team dynasty NBA league that I'm in, and I picked him up like
nice
game one off of waivers. And it's like you start 10 deep, so it matters. So
for fantasy, do you keep up with this?
Yeah.
Oh crap! How intense is that?
It's like it's not that crazy intense because you just have like you don't make that many moves. But I was just like, GG's probably gonna get some time. Like I might as well. And I had like you have like minors roster spots. So like if a guy hasn't played 65 games, you can like not have them actively on your team. And I stashed him, and it was a great move.
Josh Giddey, hearing you talk about that. Oh, they have minors? No.
And here's the sickening part. Giddey is on my team.
Oh, damn!
Your team's trash. You got to drop him. Pick up
my team.
He'll be back one day.
Here's the thing, Giddey, because it's 8 category
for fantasy.
He's actually like fantastic.
Oh, I bet.
And
yeah.
I picked him before all of this, for the record. And honestly, I'm looking to trade him this offseason because I kind of think like he's good now, long term. Like he's not going to be like I don't think he's going to stick in the league forever and at least not be given the green light to go like shoot and ball control as much as he wants to now. That allows him to put up all these numbers.
Yeah, once
his
Bulls 10 years over,
I finished like 6th. So
out of 30, that's pretty good.
We're not bad.
It's better than the
round
Hornets.
exit. It is.
But yeah, I would take Miller over Gigi too. There's a lot of people who are really optimistic about Gigi in the draft community. I think there's definitely potential there as like attacking closeouts, 3-and-D big wing type guy. But I do like the portability of Miller's shooting a little more and the passing. And I think his ceiling is a little more certain than Gigi's. Maybe Gigi's ceiling is higher, but I think Miller's is a little more certain.
That's especially true since Gigi's having foot problem. Maybe not the end of the world for him, but definitely something to think about. Anytime a big guy has lower body injuries, you got to at least know it. And if I'm the Hornets, like I'm cool on another guy who's injured right now.
Good thing Lamelo's a guard. He's not a big guy, so lower body stuff.
There we go.
It's like water off a duck's back, easy.
Exactly.
Third name is Jalen Johnson. How do you guys feel?
He's a great corner for the Bears.
No, all right, Carson from Nerd Set. Shut up! Oh my God.
Why did he let Nico Collins go for 140?
That was on other people. And not on Tyreke Stevens either.
It's crazy how that works.
It's on Flus,
Oh, you are a Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were, we were talking on Stay Hot how Caleb Williams looks a little Brycey, by the way. Theo texted me multiple times that Bryce Williams.
Well, Theo Ash, known Bears hater, and known Jordan Love's being mid supporter. So and Rico owns him. So
that's true.
Is that who Rico owns?
Yep.
Theo. Oh, poor Theo, man. Just such a such a bizarre thing to like be involved with. This fucking 55-year-old man is yelling at you through his telephone.
If Theo was in a car crash, do you think Rico would get on the next day and be like, well, I told you guys. So do you think he would put it in his "I was right" playlist?
Oh, absolutely. I told you this girly little boy couldn't drive a car.
Femboy should never be put at the wheel.
Oh, shout out to Rico. That's so fucking funny. Jalen Johnson, not the cornerback, the Atlanta Hawks small forward. How do you guys feel?
I feel like I'd go Miller here as well. I just really value what Miller has long-term potential as like a self-creator and a guy who can get his own shot. I know there's definitely some like burst concerns with him, but
Mhm.
I thought he made up for it early, and I would want to see a little bit, like I'd want to see another year of Miller before I really start to like swap him out for a guy like Johnson this early. That's where I stand at least.
Yeah, that's fair. Pablo, what about you?
With those two, it would come down to more team fit. Like, what do they need? Because Johnson's the better defender and a better. He's also not a like. I don't really ever think he'll get to the point where he's breaking guys down off the dribble and getting all the way to the rim, but he is a big guy and can finish in like short roll and like attacking off closeouts type stuff. So with him, it would be team dependent for me. I would think they're in a similar tier for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I think with the Hornets, you need another guy who you actually feel like real good about just like going and making something happen. I know people might say like, oh, well, off the road, like how would that pair with Lamelo? But then it's like if you build everything to pair with Lamelo and then Lamelo goes down, then it's a disaster. And on top of that, you just need another guy there who can make something happen. I mean, I like Trey Mann, but I'm realistic about how that's probably going to pan out, long term. We're kind of hoping on a little bit of a turnaround. So I like Miller for Charlotte.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Basketball Reference has Johnson listed at 20 pounds heavier than Miller right now. So
And it's all muscle.
it's all muscle.
No.
He's fat. He's fat. Jalen Johnson, if you're listening to this, you look like shit, dude. Oh my god. That definitely feels like it contributes more to kind of both 6'9". It does feel like they're different positions to me though,
Right.
because of how Johnson plays as a roller versus Miller as a floor spacer. So yeah. I will say the way I set this list up, the fifth one is supposed to be a no-brainer. So this is probably the last one we're thinking about. Franz Wagner versus Brandon Miller. What are we thinking? This one I thought about for a while. It's pretty tough.
It's so difficult because you've only seen Miller for 1 year, but he's a little bit older, so it's hard to know what he looks like year 2.
Mm-hmm.
My gut, if I was Charlotte and I got offered this, would you just be say no because like for the sake of like you've already got Miller on your team and you don't want to mess with that. I think Miller has the upside to do a lot of different things well, and I think he already like started to do a lot of different things well. And I'm sort of a fan of him now because he's been on the team. But Wagner is a guy who already does a little bit of everything and deserves a lot of credit for Orlando being good.
It's all Paolo, actually. Pablo, what do you think?
This one I'm gonna have to punt on right now because I'm caught up in the lows of Franz. I'm worried about him. I'm like, oh, I don't know, that shot's not that good, and if it stays at this level, how good can he realistically be? And
yeah, that's the thing. It's like we're seeing all these guys sort of grow a little bit as players and round out. I feel like Wagner's shot's gonna get back on track a little bit at some point, but one thing I do like about Miller is that as sort of a young developmental team, like you need some guys who can really shoot. Like it's easy to build one of those teams and then have like nobody who can space the floor. The Hornets already kind of can get a little bit dicey with the shooting, and definitely did last year. And I feel like with Miller, he's so surefire to be, a high level 3-point shooter and to really develop into somebody who could be ridiculous with that. I value that. I think I go Miller.
Yeah.
yeah,
When you talk about no shooting, like the Pistons last year, like it was just
Like the Pistons or even Portland is another team that comes to mind last year where it's like, I just,
mhm.
I think at times this can be a little bit tough. And yeah, and Charlotte last year, really, I didn't think their spacing was great. Now it hurts when LaMelo goes out, of course.
What the 40% on 8 a game that you're missing from that you're swapping in. I mean, who was even the
Mhm.
start? Like it was Rozier until they moved him. Was that like did that coincide? So was it just like Rozier primary ball handling stuff until Micic and Trey Mann arrived, or is there someone that sticks out in your mind as like the real lows of the season was with this guy running the offense?
Was Ish Smith there last
Yeah,
year?
Ish Smith was there. He didn't stick
Mm,
around for the entire year, though, if I remember correctly. It's all kind of a mix. I mean, you'd see just about everybody. I mean, you saw obviously some Trey Mann, some Micic. You saw a lot of Miles Bridges is who it was who would
yeah.
kind of be the guy, and that shit was ugly. Um, I,
Yeah.
the, I yeah, I mean, once Rozier was gone, it was like just a mix of dudes.
Yeah. I would go Franz here, but I'm Franz pilled. And so I understand that's me overlooking concerns to take the guy that I am biased to like more. But I get taking Miller here. And then the last name is Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, and I'd take Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Understandable. Okay, and then the last one we got for you is just who do you think is going to win the NBA championship? We're asking everybody that comes on, keeping a tally.
I feel like I get in a rut with just picking the last team that won to win again. I'm always like, no, dude, like,
They're going to be a dynasty.
dude. And I'm just like, well, who is like, and like maybe this is the best year to do that because I think the
Mhm.
Celtics are more back than anybody else. But um, I want to be different. I want to be a contrarian. And I really don't think this is that far out there. I've got OKC.
Okay.
We've got
Are,
two.
Slightly picked them too.
No, Ben Pfeiffer did.
Oh
Shout out Ben.
yeah. But he said he was doing it on purpose to be a contrarian too.
Did he
Yeah,
really?
I
Yeah.
should write that as a note. We have two contrarian picks.
So you're
They're
just kind of
they're
like a
like
follower in your contrarianism too. So that's cool though. Like that's cool.
nah. I mean it in a way that Ben didn't, like my heart's behind it. Well, yeah, what I just think like maybe like the Celtics are straight up like favorites, and it's like if the laser beam was pointed at Earth and it was like everything on the line, it's probably Boston,
I
but
want
I think
Jason
that like
Tatum.
I think that Boston isn't totally unbeatable. I think Porzingis potentially like being still super banged up like could be a problem against another team. I know that they got away with it against the Mavs and I guess against everybody in the Eastern Conference pretty much,
Hmm.
but maybe not against OKC. And I just kind of feel like in general, the big push around like or like on NBA Twitter maybe is like role players matter so much. Everybody loves to say that, right? But they only really like to say it when it's like shitting on the Suns. That's when they like to say it. When it's like a
Hmm.
super team and they're like, well, where are your role players? That's really what's important. But then when a team like OKC, when it's time to like hype them up more than maybe the names suggest or like the all-star selections that the additions have suggest, which is like, zero. People aren't ready to do that. Caruso and Hartenstein are two like absolutely gargantuan adds to a team that was already the 1 seed. It is
Mhm.
ridiculous. This
Playing
is a
Josh
team that
Giddey.
was
They don't
they
have to
were
do that
playing
anymore.
Josh Giddey. They were starting him in the second round of the playoffs. And I just think people are underestimating how much that matters. They're young, but that's a good thing. I'd rather be young and a little inexperienced because being young means I'm probably going to be healthier. I would rather
Mhm.
have that than be super old.
Yeah.
And I think your window is probably sooner rather than later. I think OKC's window is right now. And on top of that, they have more potential for development from Williams and Chet, who are young guys who are already really good, than maybe a lot of other contenders have, where they're hoping their older guys will stave off regression. OKC doesn't have to deal with that at all. I think they're easily maybe they're not easily the favorite. They're the favorite to come out of the West for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Mavericks are going to give them a run for their money. I think they're right up there, and I think the Nuggets and the Wolves are in that contender mix as well for me. But I like them out of the West, and I think they solved a lot of their problems. I think they'd match up tough against the Celtics. That's my pick.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I go back and forth with the Celtics in terms of like last time we talked about them on here. I mean, we'll probably talk about them every time I ask this question, but I was like, is there any way I could like fool myself into thinking any other team's moves matter? Are the Celtics just that good that they're like, everybody's really fighting for second place? Because when I think about them, I kind of get the same feeling I get looking back to like the KD Warriors days, even though that's obviously like a different level of talent, just in terms of like, oh, what's it going to take for this team to lose? But the more I've thought about it since then, I feel like what's contributed to that feeling is the fact that like I think they beat whoever they play in the East last season. I just think if we see them play like Giannis or maybe Embiid, maybe the Knicks, whoever it is, I feel like we see a version of them that we understand as more beatable than what we ended up seeing against, a Pacers team that really struggled to close out close games that maybe you don't have if you're going up against like Dame and Giannis or whoever. Just like a bunch of different stuff like that. So I think I'm on board with you. I think OKC would push them a lot. And I think, yeah, dude, it's just like really understanding how much better those additions of Caruso and Hartenstein make the Thunder on both ends of the floor. And then on top of that, like if I asked you guys, what do we think is more likely? Horford notable regression in a year where they really need him to fill in for an injured Porzingis. Is that more likely, or is it more likely that we get like a Chet Holmgren year 2 serious step forward? I think Matt touching on that. Like I feel like the Chet improvement is way more likely, and both of those are really realistic.
Exactly. And I think when you look at Porzingis being healthy for the finals as like a coin flip, it definitely makes you think differently about the Celtics. Because if you told me right now that they'd go in a 7-game series and Porzingis would for sure be out, I mean, I think you'd pick OKC. I know that the Celtics are proven right now, but I feel like we could get part of the way through the season and just be like, we should have seen this coming with the Thunder, with how good they're going to be, and that they're now the team that just feels like everybody is a ridiculous high-end starter, and their depth is crazy. They've got a lot of different guys who can play. I just thought they did such an amazing job of solving their problems this offseason so swiftly. And if something comes up, if there's an issue, nobody has more ammo to solve it than them. The way I put it on Twitter, which is kind of a cop-out, is the Thunder are going to be the next new team to win the finals.
Yeah.
It might be the Celtics again this year, but I think the next time it's somebody who like hasn't gotten it with their current sort of era, it's going to be OKC.
Them or the Cooper Flag Hornets.
Ooh, okay, I like it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's. I think, and that's the thing. I think it's OKC this year, and then the Flag era begins.
I like
then you're
that.
planting your flag.
There you go. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of a ball one.
Oh,
then you're putting your balls on the rest.
Putting your balls on the flag, baby. Salute.
But the element you talked about, like Williams and Holmgren, could still take a step forward. They even have that with the role players. Case and Wallace will probably be better. Isaiah Joe could be better. Aaron Wiggins already saved basketball. Who knows what's next? He's so young. And then they drafted a few older guys who I think can come in and contribute. So
it's ridiculous, and like all of those guys are already like playing good basketball. It's insane what they are. So I don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. I think I like them more than any other team in the West for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely be on board with that. All right, that's all our questions. So we got two for the Thunder and then we have 4 for the Celtics right now, and nobody else has gotten a
No,
vote.
no. Well, who are y'all's picks?
I'm picking the Celtics.
Yeah.
You don't believe that Jokic can overcome all odds and be the greatest player of all?
Oh my god, it'd be sick. Don't get me wrong. It'd be so dope. Oh my god, I'd never shut
They're
up.
they're
Nuggets
just
probably
throwing. Calvin Booth is throwing.
Yeah, like it's just like you have this transformation. Like I really do feel like in terms of players I've watched with my own eyes, I've probably never seen someone who like I feel like has altered a basketball court the way that Jokic has. Maybe like peak Steph, and then if you like want to amalgamate both ends of what LeBron was doing into like changing the court, yeah, those guys. But like it's really like one of one player that you're never going to have again. And so to just be like, $7 million or KCP, I think Christian Brown can do most of what he's doing. And it's like, okay, well, if that's it, if we're just gonna fucking put that on Jokic's shoulders, and we already didn't get the job done against a team that wasn't close last year. That's the reality of the Wolves, is that when they ran into a Mavs roster where Luka wasn't even 100%, he was just a bad matchup, they got fucking nuked. So for the Nuggets to not beat that team and then get worse, it does not fill me with a ton of confidence into the Jokic carry to a title job.
Right. That's what I've been thinking. What's made me so mad is people being like, dude, the second apron cost the Nuggets KCP. The second apron gets blamed like a boogeyman for everything. I thought they had one of the worst off seasons in the entire NBA.
Agreed.
For
Yeah.
trying to be competitive, and them cheaping out on KCP is totally ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like I get it with Bruce Brown. You're doing it like they justified that move to be like, this way we can pay the starters, and like if you pay Bruce Brown and you pay KCP and you do all this stuff, then you're in like close to where the Celtics are right now, where when you're that far in, it makes it more difficult than it would be otherwise. But you let Bruce Brown go and then you don't do anything with it. And on top of that, when you talk about like dumb offseason shit, they gave up 3 second-round picks to get rid of Reggie Jackson.
To the
To
Charlotte Hornets, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
but they
Thanks,
waived him.
by the way.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
fleeced
there
you,
you
by the
go,
way.
yes, dude. Oh, that pissed me off. So yeah, I don't think I think it's really maybe if the current front office and the I don't know, the philosophy they have about like we're gonna build our role players in house and we're gonna like farm them and we're gonna draft 22-year-olds that can impact right away. If that front office had been in control for 2 or 3 more years, maybe it makes maybe where they're at is a little bit different. But them really only taking over in the past like 2 or 3 seasons, whatever it is, it just feels like a real conflict of identities. And now you're kind of seeing that come to fruition where the front office that wants to build through young guys, none of the young guys are ready. I mean, maybe Christian Brown turns it. I think he could be a quality starter, but he's not Contavious Caldwell-Pope, and nobody else is like in a confident position to come contribute to a contender. And then you also don't have any role players. So you have like Aaron Gordon, who I love, Michael Porter Jr., who's great. And then it's like, oh, sweet, we picked up Westbrook for the bench and stuff. It's just like, what the fuck, guys?
Right. I thought it was pretty weak, but at least they're under the second apron, so they have more flexibility to potentially try to replace the guy that they lost. Who,
yeah, with
got
like
rid
the
of his-
taxpayer MLE or something. Like that's what you get access to is like picking up a guy at the deadline on waivers who is not going to play for you in a big
your
playoff
2031
series.
pick will be quite safe.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Bruce Brown is also, he's just like inherently a more replaceable player than KCP. Like you can get out and find other Bruce Browns. There's a reason why Bruce Brown he's not like situation proof. He only thrives in certain situations. There's lots of guys out there who are just Bruce Browns who haven't gotten to the right team. KCP, it's pretty rare you're going to find a guy who's that level of perimeter defender on and off the ball and is that level of 3-point shooter. But yeah, I bet I think as a Nuggets fan, you're looking over at the Hornets and you're thinking, man, that 5-year power structure is looking pretty nice right now. I wish I had a different guy coming in to take over.
I guess. I don't know.
I wish I had Plotkin. I wish I
I wish I had plot armor Plotkins. Oh my god. All right. Fuck it. Calm little hour 40-minute for you guys. Do you want to plug anything, Mr. Sponhour, while you have the platform and my co-host is dropping his phone?
Listen to the Stay Hot Pod. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. Follow my Letterboxd. Follow my Twitch. Send me a letter. Hit me on PayPal. Hit me on Cash App.
Nice. Did you do
Zell?
the Cash App
Zell
glitch?
me.
Are you in
Yeah,
big
Zell me.
debt?
Yeah, I did. I did Cash App glitch. I did Zell glitch. I did.
I'm
Guys, I'm
$200,000
podcasting to
under.
pay off $99 million of debt. Please help.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
All
hit
right.
the GoFundMe. I mean, all that good stuff.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and Pau Gasol, take it away.
Lay down a list of what